Hello class. In this lecture video, I will demonstrate on the proper application of layers and proper assignment of line weights for each colors of the lines for our construction drawings. As you can see in our current drawing, we haven't much applied any color code, and our drawings is still one color in a single color. So first, we will assign line weights for each color so that when we apply layers, we can determine what are the proper line weights to be assigned for each layer. So let's let's create our own line weight assignments first using the plot command. The shortcut for plot is PL, or simply type plot because PL stands for polyline. Or you can simply press Ctrl P on your keyboard simultaneously to execute the plot command. In AutoCAD, plot is the equivalent of the print. And in order to assign the respective line weights, we need to create our own line weight designation. So here on the upper right portion of our plot dialog box, we have our plot style table, in which it enclosed in the parentheses pen assignments. So you have learned this for sure in your Viscom 1 or Visuals Communications 1 on what are the proper line weights to be assigned for proper architectural or construction drawing presentations. So again, let's go back to our plot window. Then let's click the drop down of our plot style table and let's click new. So in order for us to customize our line weights properly, it is recommended that we learn to create our own by starting from scratch. So we'll designate a file name, for example, 20 by 30, or rather, you can simply use your surname. And then after specifying your excuse me, after specifying your plot style name, for the finishing window, click on the plot style table editor, in which another dialog box will appear. So to make things less complicated in the pen assignments, so we'll click first color 1, which is the red, and we'll go to the bottommost or the bottom of the list, hold the shift key on your keyboard, then click the last color. For the color, under the properties group, we'll assign a black color for them, for everything, except for, this is just my own preference, I prefer color 240 to be in color red because this is the color I use for marking down comments or reviewing construction drawings in the actual practice. So to make things less complicated in terms of line weights or pen assignments, so let's just use for color 1, we'll use the line weight then we'll use 0.1. Color 2 will be 0.2. Color 3 will be 0.3. Color 4 will be 0.4. This is similar to your technical pens that you are using in your visual communications. For color 5, we'll use 0.6 rather. For color 6, we'll use 0.8. For color 7, we'll use a thick line. We'll use 1.0. For color 8, we can simply reduce this into 0.05 or less or that's half of the thickness of our type pen. For color 9, this is 1 degree lower than the color 1, which is 0.09. And for our hatches, let us try to assign color to 50 with a screening of 55. This is for the purpose of hatching and other fixture. And for color 250, on the rest of the colors, from 10 onwards, we'll use a line type of, or a line weight, rather a line weight of 0.00, which means the lines are thick, are thin. So once everything is set, let's save and close. Then let's click finish. So we now have our assigned line weight set. So let's click apply to layout, then okay. Click cancel. We'll now next proceed to the assignment of layers. The command for the layer is LA, or in phonetic alphabet, Lima Alpha. So let's type LA and press spacebar on our keyboard. Later on, when we work on our external references in our future discussions, you will see the importance of the layers. So let us create layers based on the components. So each component of our drawings must have different layers. For example, a different layer for the walls, a different layer for the floor edge, a different layer for our window sill, a different layer for our window, a different layer for our door, and so on. Floor hatch, a different layer for our fixture, for our furniture, what else? For our dimensions, for our specifications, for our text, and for our symbols. So in order you want to add something else, you may just, after closing this, you may simply add something else by executing the layers command. So now we will assign line weights for each of the component. So for the walls, we will assign 0.4 of our line weight. For the floor edge, we'll assign 0.09. For our window sill, we'll assign 0.1. For our window, since this is a cut element, we can assign 0.2. Same with our door. For our floor hatch, we can assign a line weight so that our drawings will not seem to be overcrowded. For our fixture, we can assign 0.1 also, same with our furniture. For our dimensions, we can assign 0.8. If you have grid lines, you can create another layer for your grid. Same for our symbols, we'll assign 0.05 line weight. For our text, let's use the same color as the text of our dimensions and specifications. And for our specification callout, we'll use the same line weight as our dimension lines. Also, we might if you want to assign a default line weight or a default layer for your new drawings, you can simply double click your layer, for example the wall, but I wouldn't recommend it for now. So for the layer, you can simply click them twice in a slow manner. If you want to rename, so let's name this as hidden line. And for our hidden lines, for it to be clearly seen, let's use color 31. And in order to change our line type for that specific layer, we can load a new layer by clicking on the line type of that specific layer. Now, if our line type is not existing in the list, we can simply click the load at the bottom portion of our dialog box. So let's search for the hidden and then press OK. Then click hidden, then select the hidden, then OK. It will then be applied to your selected layer within your layers palette. This is also useful if you are creating your set development plan. If you will create another layer for your property lines in which there is a line weight here specifically for property lines, which is the phantom line. Now for your center line, if you are going to specify the center line, you can use the center, or you can also use this line type for your grids, for your section planes, and so on. Now, if everything is set, we can now simply close our layers palette, and also I will explain later in this demonstration video the use of this default layer, which is the def points layer. This is automatically generated by the system, and you will see the importance of the def points. So we can now close the layers palette and assign line weights for each of the elements. So let's click this. For example, we'll click one of the specification call out or the specification leader line. In order to change the layer, we'll go to the layer panel and then click on the drop down of the layers and search for the respective layers for that. Now for the hatch, we'll go to the home tab, then assign layers for floor hatch. Also, if everything seems that your hatches are overlapping or above your lines, you can simply adjust that row order and send it to back. So for this one, we can simply change our layers to symbols. For our fixture, we can assign the fixture layer. For the door, we can assign the door layer. For our furniture, we can simply assign furniture. For the hidden line, since this is our hang cabinet, we can use hidden. So if you want to see your line type scale or the emphasis of your hidden line, in which you can adjust your line type scale by executing its command. So the command for line type scale is LTS, or in phonetic alphabet, Lima Tango Sierra. LTS, then it's up to you how you will adjust your line weights. So you can adjust them greater. Then if still not enough, you can still increase your line type scale for you to see the line type scale of your hidden lines or your phantom lines and so on. So that is our hidden line. So for our text, we'll assign the proper. So for now, we'll assign layers for one of each component. And what else? We have our. You can also adjust line weights of multiple. Also in polylines, if you created a line, if you create a line using the line command, you can convert this line into a polyline, even though it is a single segment. You can use the poly edit, and you will be asked if you want to turn that line into one, in which answering yes will convert this line into a polyline. So since it is a polyline, you can adjust the width of your object, which is the global width for this particular object. This is applicable only for polylines, but for now we won't be applying this much. So we'll apply window layer. So we'll apply layers for the walls and lines for our floor edge. Okay. So now once we assign the specific line weights, we can use the match properties or the match prop command. The shortcut key for match properties is MA, or in phonetic alphabet, Mike Alpha. So MA, then press enter. We'll select the property that we want to apply, and the property that we wish to get from, and once the brush icon appears on the cursor, we'll now select the objects that we wish to apply the same properties as the one we selected first. So if you'll notice, this selecting on this will make it change its property, including its layer. So that's the use of the mesh property. So we'll apply it also with other components. So furniture for furniture. Next is our text. Next will be our symbol, door, our floor hatch, our floor edge. However, in floor hatch, please keep in mind that if you use match properties for your hatch, the same properties will also be applied to your selected objects. So you might need to be careful for that. So for the doors, we'll edit the doors by applying the door swing, and in which we can apply, aside from the layer palette, we can apply a specific color for a single drawing element or drawn element. So for the door swing, we'll apply the color to 50, and then we'll save the changes. Same for this door. So let's go to the home tab. So this is the layers palette. This is the properties palette, the properties panel. We'll use color 250, then save the changes. So next will be the fixture. So aside from the kitchen sink, we can change this into a lighter line weight. Or let's leave it as it is. And lastly, the wall. And also our dimension as well. Also, we need to change this into specifications, although it is adjusted into green color. And applying match prop to the multi-line text will also change its alignment and boundaries. So if ever you don't wish it to be adjusted, you can just adjust it manually. So that's how we apply our layers. So everything has their own layers now. Now for the printing, you have your default title blocks. So we will now proceed to the layout tab. Or if you want to use the command, you will go to tile mode 0, or the shortcut key for tile mode is TM, or in phonetic alphabet it's Tango Mike. Then tile mode 1 is for the modal space, while tile mode 0 is for our layout space, or what we call our paper space. So we'll first delete this, and let's apply the layout, create our paper here. Since we are using millimeters, so for example, we'll be using A3. The size for A3 is 420 by 210. Or rather, sorry, that is 420 by 297 for A3. And we'll offset this with our by 1 inch for the margin, and the left side will be offset with additional 15. We'll stretch this to create a 40 or 4 centimeter margin at the left. If you wish to lay it out into A4, the size for the A4 is simply 210 by 297, and we'll have our margin. For your title block, you are given with your specific title blocks in your formative assessments. So just follow the title block. So in applying your title block, this is just an example, but you should follow your own title block in your plate. So you will create them manually. And if you wish to create another layer for your paper space, you may do so. So let's change this to paper. Okay, let's Again, this is just an example. So since these are layered, you can also use thinner line weights for your inner boundaries. And then for your title block, you can simply use DT. But since the text height is already adjusted to 200, we can create another text style for our paper space. So let's set this as annotative since we are working on our paper space. And the paper text height should not be less than 2 millimeters. So let's click apply, then close. So for our text height, let's type name. Let's change this to green. For example, this is our name. Section, faculty, and then this is just a sample. Again, you should follow the required title block for your submissions. Then we can apply, once you're done with the fixed text in your title block, we can apply your attribute definition. So the command for attributes is alpha tango tango or ATT. Then for our tag, we will create tag for name or student name. For the prompt, for example, last name, first initial, and then middle initial. For the default, De La Cruz 1. You can choose justification if you prefer. So click OK, then this is your student name. Again, you can create another attribute for your subject and section. So subject section. So prompt code slash section. So this is, for example, CAD 1 section 1, and so on. Okay, we will adjust that later on. Create another one for the faculty name. For the prompt, name of, so first initial, middle initial, and last name. Architect, first initial, middle initial. For example, HC Gaspina. Okay. For your play title, formative assessment number, for example, formative, or rather assessment number. So the default will be formative assessment 1. And this will be our play title. We'll create another one for the submission date. So prompt will be, the date will be year, month, and day. So for example, the day to day, or rather just a random date. Okay. For the sheet contents, content 1, for example. Content 2, so content line 2, then font right ending for the default, and we have content score 3, content line 3, then nothing. And for our sheet number, A1. So we will now arrange our attributes based within our title block. We will then convert this into block so that we will make use of our attribute. What you will do is that the title block you will do for this assessment is the same title block that you will be using for the next assessments. That is why I encourage that you create, when you will convert this into block, instead of using the block command, use the write block command. So the write block command, the shortcut key for the write block is W, or in phonetic alphabet it is whiskey. So it is similar to your block command. So you need to set, those are the selected objects. And then, if you wish to select more, you can click on this icon. You can convert this directly into block. Then pick a point. So let's pick a point at the lower left corner of the title block. So this is what you will do in your title block in your current formative assessment, in which you will be using this you will also be using this current title block in your succeeding formative assessments, or your succeeding assessments that require drafting in CAD. So just click OK. So for example, this is formative assessment 3. Content line 1 is floor plan. Here, formative assessment 1. So there. Once you double click this again, just for the review, this is the usage of your attributes. So the only editable in your attribute definition editor are the attributes, while the text created using your single line text command or multi-line text command are already fixed. So that's how you apply attributes and text in your title block. Next is how paano natin ilalagay, or how will we put our model drawing in our paper layout. So the command is model view, or the shortcut keys for the model view is MV, or in phonetic alphabet, Mike Victor. So we'll draw a rectangle. Then we will double click on, in order to adjust the scale, we can double click on the window. And then for the scale, we'll use the zoom command. So let's type Z, or Zulu in phonetic alphabet. Then once we execute the zoom command, we will use the scale sub option. So let's type S and then press spacebar. And then we'll type the scale. So for example, we'll use 1:100. And don't forget to type XP for after you indicate the scale. So if you're going to use 1:50, again, zoom, scale, 1/50, indicating 1:50. Then don't forget XP. So let's leave it to 1/100 XP. Let's use 1:100. You can also create your drawing label using the attribute commands. So create another attribute for your drawing designation. So for example, this is A, and the default will be our input so this is our drawing designation. You can also edit if you forgot to adjust the alignment of your text, you can select this and edit this using your properties command. So the shortcut for properties is PR. So as long as this is selected, the properties of the selected object will appear here. So you can search for the justification. You can adjust this to center. You can close this so that you can work more on your working space. And then next we will have another attributes for our sheet number. So for example, this is A1, then we'll justify it to center. We'll now create a circle, the symbol for our attribute definition. You can adjust this into color green and create another attribute for your drawing title, the drawing label. The default is, for example, this floor plan. Let's leave it to left justification, then put this here. And we can edit this. If you don't want a fixed text height, you can use your standard and then manually adjust your text height. So for example, I'll use a text height of 3. Then another attribute for the scale. Default is 1:100 meters. We'll justify it by the right. So we'll put this here. And we'll create a single line text. Okay. And now for the last attribute, especially if you're working on your other drawings or your for example, reflective ceiling plan or engineering plans, they can add another attribute for the floor level and to prompt. So let's use this without any preset. We will now convert this into block using the right block command, since you will also be using this in your other drawings. So let's pick this as a pick point, then click OK. For the block also, you need to specify the block name. So this is drawing label. So click OK. You can create a line if you wish to. So you can adjust this. So if ever you will be inputting this in your title block and your drawing label in your next drawing, you can use the insert command. So the shortcut key for insert is I, or in phonetic alphabet, India. Then search for your title block, for example. So that is your title block. And also if you can also insert your drawing label if you wish to. There. That's how you will apply this on your next drawing. So once you are done, select on the model view or the model boundary. For example, you are working on multiple models. So the boundary should be assigned with def points, since any layers that is assigned with the def points will not be visible on your print layout. So in order to print your drawing, we'll go to the plot command by pressing Ctrl P on our drawing. And then we'll choose drawing to PDF, and we'll choose here the paper size. So we'll choose ISO A4 portrait, and let's choose window, and let's center the plot. Since this is in actual millimeters, let's use 1:1, and then you can preview this. This is your layout for now. You can see the application of the line weights towards your drawing. So you can see how the walls, the line weights of the walls are applied, the line weights for the flooring, the line weights for the ledges, and so on. And most importantly, your boundary edge. So you can apply this to layout. So since this is too thick, we can adjust this by a thinner line weight. You can simply exclude this and change this into ByBlock. And then again, you can overwrite your right block. We can overwrite our existing. So once we're okay, we'll go to our plot window. Then again, we'll preview if everything is fine. Once everything is fine, just right click, then click plot, and choose where to save your drawing. So for example, we'll put this in. For your file name designation, you should follow what is instructed in your formative assessment. So there is a format written in your formative assessment for your file name. So please follow those. And once you're done, you can view your file. You can search for your file, or sometimes it will be automatically opened in your PDF viewer. So this is now your floor plan. Diba? Okay, that's all for the layering and printing and line weight assignment for this session. If you have any questions, kindly contact your respective advisors for your concerns or any clarifications. So I hope you learned something. So that's all for now. Good day and keep safe, everyone.